What's up everybody? In today's video, we are going over 5 of what I believe to be some of the best offers that you can consider providing with your social media marketing agency in 2024. I made a video going over offers a while back. I got some really good feedback, so I put a lot of thought into this one, and I think it's going to really help some of you out. So for each of these 5 offers, we're going to be going over a few things which are going to help you out. So first, I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of what service delivery would look like. Second, talk about who I'd actually sell this to, so the target audience. And third, give some ideas on how to price. As I know that a lot of times when you're just starting out, understanding how to price can be really confusing. So we're going to be going over that. So let's go ahead and hop onto my screen and go through the 5 offers. All right, so here we are on my Notion, and we have 5 offers to run through. The third one is one that I particularly like. And the 5th is one that I would be pretty confident none of you have heard of. So let's go ahead and start with offer number 1. So offer number 1 is a little bit different. And this is going to be building outbound infrastructures for B2B companies. So what is an outbound infrastructure? An outbound infrastructure is essentially building the mechanism and system that gets people meetings. Now, in terms of what that mechanism is, that could be cold email, that could be LinkedIn, lump email, cold calls, Instagram DMs, Twitter DMs. It really doesn't matter what the actual mechanism is. If you don't know one, you could take one to interest you, or if you have one that's produced calls for yourself in the past, naturally that would make the most sense to build mechanisms for people. So your job is essentially just to build a system that can continually run to get leads for these companies' sales teams. And what I really like about this is it's a bit different than your typical agency offer. Your typical agency offer is normally retainer based, where you pay me this amount of money per month. I do this amount of outreach, and that's that. Now, that is still a really good offer. It's something I do myself, my own company. However, I've also started doing this for the last 6 months, and it's been huge. Especially bigger companies, they have internal team members who have the time and resources to manage things. They just need help in setting it up. So what this looks like is you're going to come into a company, and you're going to build them an asset. You're going to build them the system, the mechanism, the processes, and you're going to validate this so they can continue running this process internally. And this is significantly more valuable because it's going to lower their cost over time without having to outsource. They own it and they can choose to scale up or down as needed. And also, it's considered an asset for a business, so if they ever did want to sell their business, they could say they own the mechanism of getting clients as opposed to relying on a third-party vendor, which is a liability. And because of this, you can charge more. So what exactly will you be doing? Well, let's talk about that. You'll be setting up your tech stack. So if you're doing cold calls or cold email or anything, there's going to be a tech stack involved in order to actually make this run. And technology can be quite confusing and complicated, especially for something like cold email. So you're going to set up the tech stack. You're also going to set up the operations process. So how does a process work from going from tech to contacts to scripting to appointment setting to booked call, right? So you're going to manage the operations process where they could plug in employees to actually manage that. Now, a big thing here is you're going to build detailed SOPs. One of the details here is if you are going to give this to a company for them to run, you're not going to run it. You need them to actually be able to run it. And when questions come up, you don't want them to only rely on you. You want to have really detailed SOPs so they can have their team run it. Also, what happens if someone's on vacation or someone quits? You want to say, look, we're building this system that's so robust that our SOPs and training information, you can plug anybody into your company, and within 1 week or 2 weeks they're running this. So that's going to be your SOPs. You also want to build out your initial strategy. If you give them all the tools and the tech and everything, but you don't help them with strategy, well, they have all the tech, but they're not in a place to succeed. So we're going to build out the initial strategy, ideally modeling a strategy you know that works or you've proved works, and then you're going to validate that for them. So even more value here, we're actually going to validate that initial strategy. That way they have something that's working and they can shadow you as you validate it and then pick up from there. And then finally, you're going to train someone and to pick up and manage the system after you. So the whole idea is we're going to build this thing that's so good that even after I leave, it's still going to maintain and get you meetings. And because it's so valuable, you're going to pay me a lot. So that is the idea of what we're actually doing in terms of an offer. So the next step is, who do we sell this to? Who's our target audience? So let's talk about some people that I would consider. Now, this certainly isn't the only type of business you could sell to, but this is who I have been selling this to and have been successful with, and I'd recommend you do the same. And that's going to be more old school B2B businesses. So we're not talking young guys of ClickFunnels hosted agencies or SaaS companies. Those are fine, but who I've had a lot of success selling this to are people that are less likely to implement this on their own. So generally, old school B2B businesses, I know this is very broad, but 10 to 250 employees, I've found a sweet spot to be around 50, where they're big enough, they have people to manage and they have budget, but they're not so corporate where approvals take forever. I'd be targeting the CEO, owners, head of sales, and similar. When I say similar, we can't just target head of sales. There's head of demand gen, head of growth, head of sales, sales manager. Titles will be the same in every company, so we want to make sure we're going beyond just that one title. CMO, head of marketing, director of growth, etc. And some example of companies would be like accounting firms, consulting firms, logistics and supply chain, 3PL, contract manufacturers, private equity, HR, recruiting. These are going to be B2B companies where their average customer is worth thousands, tens of thousands, or in some of these cases, like take contract manufacturing, private equity, their customers might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So for you to set up this system for them, it's going to be incredibly valuable. And also because they're selling B2B, obviously this only works B2B, they're going to be able to identify people they want and go after them. So that is some examples of companies that actually set this up for. So now the question that everybody always wonders is, how do I price this? I understand what I'm doing, I understand who I'm selling to, but how do I handle the pricing? So for pricing, what I would do is an initial 60 to 90 day engagement for $10,000 to $15,000. That is going to include setting everything up, all the SOPs, infrastructure, etc., building the strategy, and then validating that strategy. That validation taking between 30 to 60 days, and then training and handing off. So it's an all-inclusive price. Now, after that, naturally, people are going to have some questions, and you want to make sure that you have some type of way for you to keep getting paid. As if you say it's a 90-day engagement, and they have a question on day 115, if you don't have something in place, they're still going to ask you that question, you're just not going to get paid. So I would recommend setting up a consulting retainer for $1,000 to $2,000 a month for ongoing support. And then once they're at the point where they don't really need that anymore, then moving to a one-off call option where they have a paid calendar link, and I can just book in a call as needed, maybe once a month or twice a month for anywhere from $200 to $300. This is exactly what I do when I do these setups. I've done dozens of them, and they've done really well. So there you have it. That is offer number one. So let's go ahead and get into offer number two. Now, offer number two, I think is one that people might be confused that I put in here because it's something that sometimes I even make fun of. And I make fun of it because I think it's done wrong. And what is that? That is content repurposing. Not just short form, I'm talking holistic content repurposing. So the number two is what I'm going to call omni-platform content repurposing. So what is the service delivery here? Your job is to take a core piece of content, likely a YouTube video or a podcast, and turn that one piece of content into dozens of pieces of content across multiple platforms. You all know what I'm talking about. Hermosi does this, Gary Vee does this, all of the big guys online do this. They take a core piece of content and they turn it into shorts, into tweets, into Instagram, taking one piece of work and just dramatically expanding its impact. Now, here's the deal. I get pitched this a lot because I have a small business YouTube channel and I'm a good person to sell this to. Everybody sells me the same thing. They send me the same templated email with the same level of creativity, offering to repurpose YouTube videos into shorts. Now, here is your opportunity to diversify and not just blend in with everybody else. What if you offered a YouTube video to turn into, or a podcast in that case, into an SEO optimized blog, or an email to an email list, or even a physical mailer, or an Instagram post, or a Twitter thread, or a Facebook post, or threads, now that Instagram has made this, Twitter posts, LinkedIn posts, etc. So instead of just going from, hey, we'll do a YouTube video, YouTube shorts, what if you actually add some creativity and you get people the option to bundle which platforms they move things to? Because I would love my YouTube video to go to every other platform and not have to do it myself, but no one has ever pitched me this. And I think there's a really nice gap in the market here. Now, in terms of the target audience, this one is pretty obvious. I would go after YouTubers and podcasters because they have long form pieces of content, which would be best to repurpose. If you're repurposing a tweet, it might be a little bit harder here. And I would make sure to go after people that are going to have a high customer value. That way they can justify this cost. If you're targeting people who make travel videos, they're mainly making money from AdSense, and it's going to be much harder for them to see an ROI. So now, who would I target? B2B companies, again, with YouTube channels or podcasts, coaches, info product sellers, or SaaS founders. Those would be my main ones to target. And lucky enough, there's a lot of these guys that have YouTubes or podcasts. Now, what would I do for pricing? I would offer packages based on platforms and volume of content. The more platforms and the more volume of content, the price goes up, but the price per unit of content would go down, very natural pricing structure. And then I would range from $1,500 a month to $5,000. I think $1,500 is a good minimum. If you can get your costs at around $500 and net $1,000, that gives you some room to acquire customers profitably. And I'd probably do a good, better, best option. So you have a $1,500 package, you have maybe a $4,000 package, and maybe an $8,000 package you want to go higher, maybe $1,500, $3K, and $5K. So I would definitely have good, better, best options to this. So there you have it. That is omni-platform content repurposing. Now, number 3 is one I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and get into number 3. Number 3 is one you've probably heard of, or at least you've seen a video suggested on your YouTube feed, or maybe when you're scrolling through shorts, whatever. And that is AI and no-code automation for businesses. Now, if you see this and you think, man, that's just a trend that everybody's pushing, yes, it is a trend that everybody's pushing, but no-code solutions and AI, not AI, but no-code solutions specifically, have been around for quite a while. And this has been a really good business model. I've been working with people doing their cold email who sell no-code solutions for years. And in fact, some of you know my business partner Felipe for watching this channel. Me and him do some no-code for businesses on a consulting basis occasionally. It is a great offer. If you can take somebody who has a high value of their time and you can save them time, or you can make them more money doing what they're already doing with no-code and now AI as well, it's just a no-brainer. And right now, there's not too much competition on this. I think this is going to go up as it becomes more popular. But right now, it's just a great time to get in. So let's talk about what service delivery look like. Again, target audience and also pricing. So service delivery. Your job would be to perform an audit on a business and look for ways that technology, no code, and AI can save time, increase results, and save cost. So that is the main idea here. So the actual product will be in a form of incorporating AI into existing processes, building operation infrastructures, detailed SOPs, and more. So we're trying to make their business more efficient. Now, here is where I think the opportunity lies in this. I have hired people to help me with this for my own business. And there's very clearly 2 levels of people. There are people who know how to use tools, but they can't think of use cases. They need to be told use cases, meaning you have to think and look for things for them to then do and explain it. And then there are people who know tools, and they also can look at your business critically. It's good to have someone look from above where you're in operations and it's harder to see things, and they can say, do this, this, and this, and here's how, and I'll do it. That is where the value is. You need to be the person who looks for opportunities to save costs, save time, and increase results. Now, if you can do that, great, you're going to get paid a lot. You can help people use Zapier and Make and Parabola and interpret GPT and connect APIs, maybe even build mini SaaSes to save money for their internal operations. But if you can go ahead and help them take their current processes and make them better, you're going to do really well. And again, you're selling this to people who value their time and ideally have a high customer value, so it's going to be a win-win. Now, who would I sell this to? I would sell it to 3 categories. B2B, you have agencies and other B2B service providers. And if we go back to offer 1, all of these would technically count, all these B2B business types. So we have, first off, B2B. I would say mainly agencies I'd be most excited about here. Second, we have e-commerce. E-commerce can definitely benefit from this. And third, info product and coaches. I would say info product and coaches is probably who I am most excited about in terms of AI and no-code. Maybe you make them a better system to onboard clients, or to create like a personalized hub of resources for every client, or maybe it's to track success, or to have automation set up to collect reviews and testimonials for marketing, whatever it might be. I really like info product and coach space because the margins are so high and there's not too much competition offering this to them. I've never got pitches myself, for example. So that is that. Now, the hardest thing, in my opinion, about the AI and no-code business model is the pricing. I'm not going to lie, it's hard to package things because it just gets tricky because you're always going to find new things you want to add on, but if you have a set scope, it's difficult. So here is what I would do. I have two options here. The first option is I would charge for an initial audit where you go through, find all the opportunities, put them in a very neat format and present them where they can take the audit, do it themselves, or hire you. So you charge for the audit, let's say $500 to $3,000, and then on a custom quote basis, doing your best to map out deliverables, but understanding you need to kind of pad it a little bit because there's many things that come up, I would charge between $3,000 to $10,000. When I've done this myself on a freelance basis, my business partner Felipe, we've done projects anywhere from 1K up to 25K. So there's a very big range you can charge. Now, number two is I would create a monthly subscription with a set number of deliverables tied to output or hours. And there should be a minimum of $2,000 a month, but it should go up to $10,000 a month. At one point, for example, I was charging $8,000 a month for automation consulting with Felipe. And so those are the two options. I would say that it could be either or. If someone wants to just come in, get things set, and have you go, option one. Or maybe somebody has a business that's growing really fast and they want ongoing support and they want ongoing collaboration, then naturally option two would make more sense. If you're somebody that's, maybe went to school for code or software development, whatever, you're very tech savvy, this could be great for you. And especially if you're able to think of ideas. Again, there's one level of value in taking someone's ideas and using these tools, but there's a whole nother level of value. We're talking 3 to 4x if you can look for opportunities and actually implement. So if you're that person, great, this would be a really good offer for you. And that is option number 3, or offer number 3. So offer number 4 is going to be a really good one if you find yourself being a creative person. Maybe you love to write or to produce video. This would be a really good one for you. And this would be building personal brands specifically for old school B2B companies. So going back to those first set of companies we talked about, they're a little bit more old school, they're less likely to implement new tech on their own. This would be who you'd want to sell to. So let me go ahead and flip on my screen here and we'll talk about service delivery details. So what would you actually do for these companies? Your job is to help founders of established B2B companies, so founders, but it could maybe be the CMO, but a long-term CMO or partner, something like that, build up a personal brand. Now, the mechanism is flexible. Similar to how we were building outreach infrastructures, we want to use a mechanism that we're familiar with or interested with or have ideally proven results with. And this could be YouTube, a podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, email lists, etc. It doesn't really matter. But your job is to help them build authority, not just build authority, but show their authority they've already have from their successful business in an online sense. I mean, how many people own a very successful B2B business, but they have no social presence? You have this opportunity to take these people and help them build a successful social presence, which is exciting. It's great. I mean, imagine how much easier it's going to be for you to take someone who's been successful for 20 years and show those results and success on social media compared to somebody who's at zero. It's be a much easier job. So again, the mechanism could be really any of the main social platforms. And what you'll do is set up and optimize their accounts, build out their content strategy, create or support the creation. So if you're creating, it'd be more of a done for you. If you're supporting, maybe more of a done with you. Just consider who you're working with if you're actually getting to do it. You publish content, report performance of content, and optionally maybe even manage their inboxes like appointment setting or manage their comments if it's like YouTube or a podcast, something like that. But the whole idea is helping these old school B2B companies take advantage of personal brand. A great example of this might be too niche, maybe you guys haven't seen it, but if you're on YouTube Shorts, you've seen a guy who sells jets who's been blowing up on shorts. It's a great example. Old school B2B business, and someone got him on social media and he blew up. So there's an example. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the jet business. Cool guy. All right, so target audience. Who would we actually be selling this to? Again, old school B2B businesses, 10 to 50 employees, targeting owners or maybe CMOs or head of sales, but probably owners, co-founders, partners, and the same companies that we talked about up here of option 1. So, maybe some SaaS I added on in addition to other ones, traditional B2B focused professional coaches like an HR coach or sales coach, something like that. But mainly just the same ones we talked about with offer 1. And pricing. I would do $3,000 to $6,000 a month. Now, the reason I have that barrier set higher instead of offering like $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month package is because with creative services, it's really hard to hire. So you'll likely be working yourself for the first 5 clients maybe, and then beyond that, you're going to have to hire better talent because you can't just get by with like random VAs to make really good engaging content, especially written content. So this gives you some room and margin to do it yourself or to hire good people. And then again, I would do a good, better, best packaging based around the amount of content and platforms. Maybe it's $3K a month for these 2 platforms with this much content, and then $4K for this many platforms, this much content. You get the idea. So we just kind of work our way up and maybe have 3 options. That way it's not too overwhelming. And there we have it. That is helping people set up personal brands. And we have one more offer, and this is one that I don't think anybody's heard of, but it's a really good one. So let's get into offer number 5. So for some context on offer number 5, this is one that I've actually done within my business done for you meetings, my cold email agency, a good bit as a side service. And that is selling segmented, pre-validated data sets or lead lists. So when someone does a campaign on LinkedIn or cold email, cold call, mail, whatever it may be, walk-ins, they need a list of businesses. And people aren't just targeting random businesses, they're targeting businesses that are based on a specific segment. Whether that's the location, the company size, maybe it's based on a software someone's using. There's normally some type of thing you can segment a list on. And building these segmented lists can be difficult. So your job is to build these lists that you know have demand, and then sell them to relevant businesses. So let's talk about this. I'll pull up my screen again here. So service delivery details. Your job is to build the segments so that specific B2B companies can use them for prospecting. And in these segments, you're going to include things like the first name, last name, title, company name, essentially everything that someone might need to do outreach. This should be complete data. And what you'll try to do here is identify an industry that has a highly specific ICP and build a list of people that match that ICP. Again, the metric could be on revenue, employee count, tech installed, or whatever. Let's talk about an example here. So let's say you are going to build a list of companies that are actively using Salesforce. There's maybe thousands or potentially even tens of thousands of companies using Salesforce. So you have this list. Who is that useful to? Well, if you're somebody who sells Salesforce development or Salesforce consulting, would you want a list of people using Salesforce? Naturally, yes. So if you were to sell them that list, they'd be willing to pay, let's say, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 cents a contact to do their prospecting. But you could sell that same list to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 companies because they're going to be building their own lists internally, except they can do it to you for cheaper and they don't have to actually handle it or build their own team. So it really makes a lot of sense. So your target audience can really be any B2B business. You just want to identify the type and really understand who they would want to sell to before you actually go and make your list. So another example here, let's say you have a list of info product YouTubers that have a minimum of 10K subscribers. So you take people who have fitness coaching courses, and they have a meditation course, or they have a how to start an agency course, or drop shipping, whatever. And then you were to sell that list to short form content agencies or SaaS companies that actively hire influencers. So you could say, hey, short form content companies, we have a list of people that are your exact perfect customer. It's $1,000 for the list, and there's 10,000, whatever. Or to SaaS companies that are actively hiring influencers looking for affiliates. Hey, here's a list of people that are matching your criteria. And then you can go ahead and sell that list. Now, since you made a list one time, your fulfillment is basically 0, and you're going to break even after selling it 1-2 times. So every sell after that is just pure profit. So looking at pricing, we're looking around 3 cents to 15 cents per contact of your data set, depending how difficult they are to gather. The more difficult or the less likely someone will be able to do this on their own, the more you can charge. So for example, if you have 3,000 info product YouTubers with at least XYZ subscribers, let's say 1,000, whatever, you could charge 12 cents per contact, so you would sell it for $360. Now, in order to sell 3 or 4 of these a week, and then you have multiple sets of different criteria to different businesses, it's really not that hard to imagine doing, and I've done it myself. So it's a great business, and it can become really passive. So there you have it. Those are the 5 offers that I would consider for 2024. If you have any specific questions, go ahead and drop them as a comment. And if you want one-on-one help with myself and my team to actually build out this offer for you, run your campaigns, help you get your first few clients, and build out your service delivery, make sure to check out growb2b.io. There'll be a link below to talk to my team to see how we can help. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.